1986's Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, and written and directed by Jim Henson, who is the founder and creator of The Muppets, is probably one of my favourite movies. My name is Sarah Ellen, and today I'm going to do a scene analysis on my favourite scene from the movie, the ballroom scene. Labyrinth, starring David Bowie, is a dark fantasy that follows Sarah as she enters into this mystical labyrinth where she has to go to the Goblin King's castle in order to retrieve her stepbrother. While going through the labyrinth, Sarah meets a myriad of characters along the way, one being Hoggle, a goblin-like creature who collects treasures throughout the labyrinth and works for the Goblin King, but purely out of necessity. In his own words, "I am a coward, and he is very scary." The scene that I want to break down in this video today is the famous ballroom scene. This scene is my favourite piece of cinema to exist. It is so beautiful and it is so well directed, and from everything from the costuming to the music choice to how the background actors move in the scene is just so perfect. The most important thing to remember when watching the ballroom scene is the overall context of the film, but specifically the overall context of who Sarah is, who is our main character. It's established from the very beginning that Sarah is a young girl who craves romanticism and beauty and fantasy in her life. It opens with her doing a monologue from the play Labyrinth, wearing this Renaissance style dress with her hair all done up. When she starts to run home because of the rain, she changes and she's still wearing this flowy Renaissance style shirt with a waistcoat. We then enter her bedroom and it is decorated in the style of someone who wishes that they could exist within the old-timey royals. She has a canopy bed and these shelves carved into her wall that could almost replicate that of like confession booths in churches almost. It has that arched roof and it all screams wonder, craving for a time that no longer exists, craving for a time where balls and ballrooms were the common and the norm. The entire labyrinth is a elaborate trick by the Goblin King to get Sarah to marry him. That is the goal. That is his goal in the end of the film, is to get Sarah to be his wife. Throughout the story, he uses aspects of her bedroom to manipulate her. So he uses her toys as characters in the labyrinth. The ballroom scene is the first time he actually targets her and what she wants. He is giving her everything she wants and she says she wants. She wants it to be fair and beautiful. And that's what he's playing into. The ballroom itself is a completely white room. There is no view of the outside world, and it is the only scene within the labyrinth where there is no view of the outside world. There is no windows, there is no sky. It is just this room that he has created to target Sarah. It's also shot with this blurry, almost smoky sheen to it. Everything is softer, everything is glittery. I don't know what I'm saying. There is pearls draped everywhere, white cloths. Everyone around her but him is masked. There is just him and her. This projects the idea that he is all she needs. She doesn't need to see anyone else. She doesn't need to think of anyone else, i.e. her brother, her parents, her friends. All she needs to do is focus on him, dance with him, be in this world of beauty, of softness, of romance with him. The entire ballroom itself is incredibly disorienting with all of these draperies and these archways and random stairs everywhere. You never really know which direction Sarah is coming from. It's almost mimicking the labyrinth itself. It gives the idea to both the viewer and the character that she doesn't have a direction. The only direction is toward the Goblin King, is to search for him and find him and essentially waste her time in this room as she had been doing in the labyrinth until she finally unites with him, but either way it is too late. Another thing about this scene which I just think is genius is that in the background there is a lot of tables, as there would be at a normal ball or party, and at these tables is the masked partygoers. They're laughing, they're chatting, but they're not eating. At these tables and at balls in general, there tends to be a dinner of some sort. There is no food at these tables. They are covered in flowers and in pearls and other decorative items, but there is no food. There is no sustenance. This, to me, shows that the Goblin King cannot actually give Sarah what she needs. He cannot give her windows to see the world. He cannot give her freedom to meet people. He cannot provide her with the basic necessities a human requires: food, water. The entire scene is beautiful but claustrophobic. It's synthetic and it's superficial. It is a mirror to what Sarah thinks she wants, which is beautiful romanticism. She wants everything in life to essentially be given to her. As she proclaims throughout the movie, many things are not fair. What is fair? Is this fair? She's getting everything she thinks she wanted. But realistically, it's just a cage. The entire scene, the entire ballroom itself, which is curved, is a metaphor for a gilded cage that this man is saying he can provide for her. If she wants, she can take it, but it's not actually what she needs, and it has nothing that she needs in it. No one she knows. Nothing she can eat, nothing she can drink, no sky that she can see. I'd like to pivot slightly for a second and talk a little bit about the sound and music used within the scene. Throughout the entirety of the scene, the song As the World Falls Down by David Bowie is being played. Non-diegetic sound means that it is not being played within the scene. It is something that's being played over it. Whereas a diegetic sound is something that's in the scene. An example of this would be if you're watching a movie and there's a basketball scene. If you can hear the basketball hitting the ground, that is a diegetic sound. However, if you're watching it and all you can hear over it is a song, that's a non-diegetic sound, as that is not actually existing within the scene. Now, as the scene starts, the viewer is sort of led to believe that this is a non-diegetic sound, as if it's this song that's being played over the party. However, once Sarah and the Goblin King actually meet, you can see that he's singing along with this. This plays into the moment as he's luring her with the words of the song. He's telling her, as the world falls down, I'll be there for you. It is reinforcing the impression that this entire ballroom, this entire scene is just a cloud around Sarah. It is something he has created, and even the words that he's hearing while she's there are telling her that he is all she needs. She can abandon everything else. As the world falls down, he is there for her. Now, the reason, other than the fact that he begins to sing the song in the scene, that we know that this is a non-diegetic sound, is as the scene begins to end, as she sort of realizes that this is not reality, this is not how she's supposed to continue on. There's a shattering sound of glass breaking, and you can start to hear the sounds of the party seep in. But it's not like they're overtaking the music stops and you can hear screaming. It's because the reality is breaking and the world is shifting around her. He's no longer singing, so he's no longer luring her in, he's no longer drawing her into this world. The illusion has been shattered. Something that I think gets overlooked a lot in not just this movie, but in a lot of movies in general, is simply the character's positioning in a scene. Because the way a character is positioned can tell you a lot about the story and a lot about the character themselves. When I watch this movie, I see it as Sarah running through the crowd toward the Goblin King as a mirror to what she's doing in reality, which is running through the labyrinth to try to get to Toby. Now, this is my interpretation of the scene. However, I have friends who interpret it entirely differently, because this scene is shot so cleverly that you actually don't know whether or not Sarah is trying to escape him or run to him. What I mean by that is, you'll watch it and she's running and she's looking around and she's stressed and she's seeing all these things, and he just keeps appearing. He's in the corner, she turns around, he's standing there, she moves and he's dancing with another courtier. You don't know if she's trying to escape him or she's trying to find him. Now, eventually she winds up dancing with him. And in this scene, they are dancing incredibly closely. He is holding her like he cannot let her go. It's tight. This, to me, reflects that if she were to choose to stay with him, if she were to fall into his arms and stay with him forever, she would not be escaping. There was no way out. Now, as the scene progresses and the reality starts to fall and she does begin to leave, she has to fight her way out of just his vicinity. Even though he's not holding on to her, The courtiers around her are swirling and surrounding, and she has to fight just to get out of his area, while he stands there and observes the chaos that he has caused. This is very clever to me because it does show how even if she escapes this, even if she does escape the labyrinth and she gets away from him, it will be so hard. She's going to have to fight so hard to get out of this labyrinth. So either way, she loses, at least in his point of view, because another thing to really note in this is that this is entirely his point of view. He is showing her that if she chooses to stay with him, she will be stuck there. However, if she does somehow manage to escape him, it will be the most difficult thing she's ever had to do, all while he stands there and observes her. I cannot possibly talk about this scene without talking about the absolutely iconic dress worn by Jennifer Connelly in this movie. The dress that Sarah wears in this scene is so beautiful and so iconic. This dress was designed by Brian Froud and Ellis Fright. Fun fact, Brian Froud is actually the father of the child who plays Toby in the movie. This dress is humongous. It is so big. It has these iridescent puff sleeves. It sticks out in all directions. It is a wedding dress. It is a mystical, magical, white, sparkly wedding dress. It is incredibly ornate, but even the way this dress is designed, it is not just a beautiful wedding dress. It speaks to the moment itself. It's very important that we acknowledge this entire sequence was created by the Goblin King. It is a dream, it is not Sarah's true thoughts or beliefs. Therefore, this dress was created by the Goblin King. Sarah's a teenage girl. She's young. It has these huge puff sleeves which overweigh her. This ginormous corset down her back and jagged diamonds along the top of the dress and along the necklace. This to me symbolizes, yet again, that she would be tied in his vision and tied in his image. He wants a beautiful young bride. He will knot her into it. He will keep her tied in it. If she leans into this lifestyle, this is the life that she has chosen. Something tight and restrictive, something that is hard to move in and will always weigh her down, no matter how beautiful it is. This dress also reflects how different she would be, though, from everyone else in the labyrinth. As everyone in the background is wearing dresses, yes, in similar styles, but all the colours are duller. They all have masks on, they're nobodies. Another interesting aspect of the styling is the makeup in the scene. Goblin King has incredibly harsh, dark eye makeup that's pulled back. His hair is pointing out in all directions. It is like he is a lion. He is a true villain in the scene. Sarah, on the other hand, her hair is pulled back away from her face. It's held up in ornate flowers. She has this innocent beauty in her makeup, which really does just go to show how she is prey in his eyes. She is this beautiful, innocent girl, and he is a predator, and he is just a predator. This scene stands out against the rest of the movie because it is the first time you see Sarah truly defy the Goblin King. Even when she is handed everything that she wants, she realizes that no, she needs to put others first. She needs to save her brother. She needs to think of Toby. And I think that this is a really pivotal scene in the movie because it's almost like you see her grow up in that moment. It goes from being this bratty early teenager who just doesn't want to mind her stepbrother and doesn't really care and thinks that the world should tailor itself to her because life isn't fair, to realizing that the world can't revolve around her because a world that revolves around her is a world that is a cage because someone has to make that world turn. I really, really hope that this video inspires some people to go and watch Labyrinth or rewatch Labyrinth if you have seen it before. It is probably one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time. I pity anyone who's ever had to watch it with me because I will say the entire film while I'm watching it. Please go rewatch this. Fabulous movie, fabulous scene. I hope anything I said was informative or entertaining. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.